Welcome back to Capitol Review. In an interview with NBC News, President Donald Trump did not rule out the chance to seek a third term for the White House, even though the 22nd Amendment in the U.S. Constitution prohibits it. Just days after the interview, the president spoke about the chance in the Oval Office.
No, people are asking me to run, and there's a whole story about running for a third term. I don't know. I never looked into it. They do say there's a way you can do it, but I don't know about that, but I have not looked into it. I want to do a fantastic job. We have 4 years, just about, almost close to 4 years. Time is flying, but it's still close to 4 years, and we're getting a lot of credit for having done a great job in the first almost 100 days.
Joining us now is Zach Schonfeld, the legal affairs reporter for our media partners at The Hill. Zach, welcome back to Capitol Review.
Thanks so much for having me.
We're always glad to have you, Zach. There's no denying President Trump is as skilled as anyone who's ever sat in the Oval Office when it comes to generating a buzz. The president putting it out there that he might consider running for a third term. Your reaction?
Yeah, you know, the president has said this before, but he insisted in this interview last weekend with NBC that this calls that he's saying that he's going to serve a third term, he says, are no joke. But really the question at this point, is this just rhetoric coming from the president, perhaps to clear the Republican field as people start looking towards 2028? Or is he actually serious that he's going to attempt here in a few years to run for another term? It really does seem unclear at this point, but it is something that we've now heard repeatedly from the president. And I really did find his remark interesting to NBC, the fact that he explicitly was saying it is not a joke. I think if you talk to a lot of lawmakers on Capitol Hill, especially Republican lawmakers, they've really been downplaying this and not seeing this as serious talk. But at least the president says that he is completely serious.
Well, Zach, how would this work? How would this scenario play out? Would it take an act of Congress, or would the 22nd Amendment prevent this from even happening?
Yeah, there is that language in the 22nd Amendment that prevents someone from being elected to the office of president more than twice. This was an amendment put into place after FDR famously served more than 2 terms. And so really, I think in the wake of Trump's comments, I've heard 2 different theories as to how this could happen. The first theory is, of course, there could be an effort to amend the Constitution to get rid of that amendment, but it's a pretty difficult process. So assuming that that doesn't happen, the other theory that we've begun to hear is that actually in 2028, the idea would be that they elect someone like J.D. Vance as president, and then on the Republican ticket, perhaps Donald Trump would be listed as the VP candidate. January 20th, 2029 rolls around, J.D. Vance takes the oath of office, and then the idea would be that J.D. Vance resigns and gives Trump the presidency. This is sort of a loophole in a way that they're trying to get around this language in the 22nd Amendment that says that no one can be elected 2 times as president. So the idea here in the theory that Trump and some of his allies have been putting out there is that, okay, he can't be elected to the office a third time, but perhaps he could assume the office if Vance resigns.
Zach, this just seems like a potential script of a Hollywood movie.
Yeah, indeed. And I think it's also been interesting to see just how different the realities are when you talk to Republican lawmakers on Capitol Hill versus what we're seeing right now in public polling. I mentioned a moment ago how a lot of Republican lawmakers have been responding to these comments from the president by downplaying it, saying they don't believe that this is really serious. But on the other hand, you compare that to public opinion polling. There was a YouGov poll that came out the other day that indicated a majority of Americans believe that Trump will definitely or probably try to run again. 56% in that poll said that. You compare that just to 28% who said the opposite, saying that they didn't believe the president was serious. So even if Republican lawmakers on Capitol Hill right now aren't acknowledging the seriousness of the president's remarks, certainly a large share of the public is.
Zach, however this scenario would play out, someone asked President Trump recently, what if Democrats were to roll out Barack Obama? He even commented that it would be very interesting.
Yeah, you know, I think ever since the Obama presidency, there's always been, the comments flying around about whether it be him or, there always seems to be conspiracies out there that Michelle Obama is somehow going to make a run, despite for years that she has made very clear that she does not like politics and has absolutely no desire. But certainly folks like the Obamas and others in the Democratic Party are continuing to loom large. But, it seems at least as of this point, those types of scenarios are really just hypotheticals and not serious at all.
Zach Schonfeld, thank you so very much for joining us.
Thanks, Mark.